The galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of man. This is the Age of Darkness. Welcome to the Remembrancers retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat, a Warhammer Horus Heresy podcast. My name is Jesse. I'm here today with Jason.
I'll remember my mute button one of these days. Just
It's
not
2023.
Today.
It's 2023. We shouldn't have this problem anymore. We've all learned.
You would think, but apparently I'm regressing.
I'm sure it won't be the last snafu of the night. In addition to Jason, we have Michael.
Hey.
And tonight we have our special guest, Ethan.
Hey.
Ethan is from our local 30K community. And tonight we are going to talk Iron Hands. So, Ethan, do you want to kick us off, talk a little bit, give us a little overview of Iron Hands?
Sure. So, I suppose you all normally start off with the Legion-specific rules?
Yeah, go for it.
So if you didn't already know, the Iron Hands are the 10th Legion, but we'll dive right into the rules. We have the Medusa's Scales. All shooting attacks made against a model with this special rule that does not have the vehicle unit type suffers a modifier of -1 to strength of the attack. Models with this special rule and the vehicle unit type instead gain the It Will Not Die 6-up special rule. Or if such a model already has this variant of the It Will Not Die rule, the value of that special rule is increased by +1. And you also have access to the Keys of Hell, Iron Fathers as a Legion-specific HQ, and the Sons of Medusa Warlord trait list.
All right. So, Medusa Scales, a -1 to strength of attacks.
There are not a whole lot of things like this that are just like flatly useful across the board. Like even stuff like the Sons of Horus trait that happens, -1 to strength when they charge or are charged. That's pretty great. But it's not to every single shooting attack.
Yeah. This is it is key to note that this is for shooting attacks, not melee. So you can still get up in there and, take a crack at their mechanical bits.
Yeah, do them fisticuffs.
And not suffer strength. But this is still a very shooty game. So having just that general buff of subtracting 1 from the strength of opponent's attacks is pretty darn significant. And with the Iron Hands being what they are, it seems fitting. I personally have not played against Iron Hands myself yet in this edition. Not looking forward to it. That's a good thing I play Loyalist, so usually I don't have to worry about it.
So, quick question, looking at this Legiones Astartes trait.
Mm-hmm.
What's the strength on the Solar Auxilia's lasguns?
Strength 3.
I believe it's strength 3, and it can go up to strength 4 with the different profile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're not stuck at effective strength 2 in Space Marines.
They can use blast chargers to bump it up to strength 6, but then you only get 1 shot at 18 inches instead of 2 shots at, I want to say 30, 36. It's pretty lengthy.
Still, that sounds like a rough matchup for the mortals there.
Yeah, I mean, even basic bolters are, it's going to be a little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, suddenly wounding on 5s with bolters is not a place I want to be at.
No, doesn't sound great to me.
Anything to nudge the math in your direction that little bit. And what's great is now literally everything that's strength 8, you don't have to worry about instant death at range anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
so your Terminators are that much more beefier.
Terminators, and especially your Dreadnoughts, since, they're not vehicles in this edition.
Mhm.
Yeah. Try not, sir. Can be a problem for a lot of armies, and it's just that much more so for an Iron Hands Dreadnought.
All right.
And the
So yeah, we got the advanced reaction for the Iron Hands, called the Gorgon Spite. This advanced reaction may be made once per battle during the opponent player's assault phase, when any enemy player declares a charge targeting a friendly unit under the reactive player's control that is composed entirely of models with the Iron Hand special rule. Once the active player has resolved all charge rolls for the charge that triggers this reaction, whether successful or not, but before any models are moved as part of either a charge or surge move, the reactive player may make a shooting attack with the unit that has had a charge declared against it, targeting the unit that triggered this reaction, with all weapons making twice their normal number of attacks, but gaining the Gets Hot special rule. A unit that makes a shooting attack as part of a Gorgon Spite reaction may not make any attacks indirectly, blah, blah, blah. You know that part. Template weapons used as part of Gorgons use Wall of Death, and you cannot take cover saves against wounds inflicted from the Gorgon Spite reaction. There is an asterisk that this does not stack with any other rules that increase the number of attacks a model may make, such as Fury of the Legion. Where models making this reaction have such special rules, they have no effect and are replaced by the effects of Gorgon Spite reaction.
I was about to ask about the Fury of the Legion.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's effectively the Overwatch version of the Iron Warriors Return Fire reaction.
Yeah.
Correct?
Bitter Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So sort of very similar, but I guess you could say a little bit more useful if it's Overwatch.
That's a good question.
It depends on the situation. I feel like there's just enough variables there, depending, like
I suppose that's true.
Your opponent may be wanting to shoot you, but may not want to charge you. Typically, that's not the case, but...
I mean, this is like that extra middle finger to something that's trying to assault you. Because it's hard enough to get close enough to assault in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But now you got to try and figure, it's like, all right, which one of these squads am I going to have to account for double the number of casualties before I can get in?
Right. And this synergizes with their rules very well. Because Iron Hands don't gain that buff in melee. So having this deterrent against melee attacks makes it a bit scary.
Oh, wait. I just thought of something. So, you know how everybody loves jet bikes, especially now with the plastic kit, but also jet bikes are all terrified of missile launchers because it knocks out their armor and it's instant death for them?
Missile launchers are great, yes.
Iron Hands seem like a super viable choice to make a Skyhunter phalanx.
Oh.
It's like the few things that can reach out and touch jet bikes are now that much less effective. And honestly, it just seems like a whole lot of fun. It's maybe a little dumb to think of all these big clunky dudes like zipping around super fast. And I gotta say, I am a little disappointed that you can't stick a Iron Father on a jet bike, because that would just be funny as heck. But other than that, they seem super, super viable. All of your speeders are taking less damage from incoming fire. All of your jet bikes don't have to worry about getting doubled out by missile launchers anymore. Las cannons still suck, but can't have everything.
Well, I think the sort of, like you were saying, a lot of the Strength 8 weapons are, now no longer instant deathing. And there seems to be a fair few number of weapons this edition that kind of got bumped up from 7 to 8. I think Predator cannons and a couple other auto cannons maybe. And that's a decent volume of dice there that's now no longer instant deathing.
Yeah, much less scary.
I have Predators, and I keep forgetting that Predator cannons are now Strength 8.
Right.
And that is a huge deal, especially because they rend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's good times.
Mm-hmm. They're just chunky auto cannons, and they're wonderful.
It's still 4 shots. I love that volume.
I need to get 2 more to round up that nice 5 Predator squadron.
Yes.
Right, they've got that extra one now. But guys, it's 2nd edition. Vehicles are bad now.
They still feel a little fragile in a lot of cases. Anything that's not a Land Raider or a Spartan still feels very fragile to me. But
Well, maybe we'll get a Talon campaign book at some point.
fingers crossed.
A lot of nice vehicle upgrades.
I would say that vehicles feel a little bit more beefy to me, but maybe that's because, the prevalence of things like heavy and reinforced, but...
Reinforced do be solving those problems.
That is a good point.
And, especially with an army like Iron Hands, where you're getting it will not die on a 6-up with your vehicle units, and if it already has that, you're getting a buff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell you what, next page over is all those fun loyalist traits we were talking about for, warlords. Ethan, you want to take us through Hell's Heart?
Sure. This warlord trait may only be selected by a model with the loyalist allegiance. A warlord with this trait and all models in any unit he joins gain the Fear 1 special rule, and should the warlord be reduced to 0 wounds, the controlling player may choose to inflict D6 automatic hits upon the unit whose attacks cause the final wound. These hits allocated as per the standard rules. Each hit is resolved using the profile of either one of the army's or one of the warlord's ranged weapons, or if he lost his last wound to a shooting attack, or using the profile of one of the warlord's melee weapons if he lost his last wounds and partnered assault.
Is this a Moby Dick reference?
Yes,
God
it
damn
is.
From Hell's Heart.
Hell's Heart, I stab at thee.
Oh my god. This is amazing.
Beautiful.
I have to say, I think this is
You guys.
one of the stronger warlord traits.
Oh yeah.
And not even for the I'm gonna, go out with a fight, but Fear 1 in combination with some of the war gear that we'll see a little bit later is certainly a decent combination.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's good business. Does that mean if you have a combi melta, you can dump like melta-gun shots into whatever killed you?
It does not specify if you are limited by the shooting profile's number. Well, it does just say D6 attacks, or using the profile the warlord's.
I'd say you get the full D6.
It sounds like
that's
it.
kind of
Sounds like D6 melta-gun shots to me.
Yep.
And that's funny.
Yes.
You could certainly do that, but I still think you're probably better off with one of the graviton shredders or graviton pistol that we'll cover in a little bit.
Or hear me out. Just throw a Nemesis bolter on his back. So in case that sniper gets sniped, you just snipe right back.
Okay, I gotta admit, that was funnier than my idea. Just hands down.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I think that won out of.
Stay strapped, boys. Oh, I'm dead. Hang on. Let me get this long gun out. And okay, now I can die.
Bang, 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 bang.
So it's just D6 automatic hits, so you don't even have to necessarily roll. You still have to roll the wound, it looks like.
Wait, they're going to be precision hits because it's a sniper rifle. Oh. Nobody deserved this.
I don't know about that. If they're automatic hits, does the sniper, or do you still need to roll on a specific number to get the sniper rule? Or no, you don't. No, you don't anymore.
Hits
That's right.
From a sniper weapon are precision hits.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, that is hilarious.
I think Jesse wins.
Yep. Hey, 10 points. Let's.
Yep.
Whew, boy.
Yep.
Well,
throw that sniper rifle in the back. You're good to go.
On that note, let me tell you about my previously favorite Iron Hands Warlord trait. the Eye of Vigilance. So this is the one for traders only. And I think it's great because it really kind of mirrors my favorite Iron Hand back from the first edition, Autek Moore.
Mhm.
Possibly the most traitor of any loyalist. But so anyhow, a warlord with this trait, all models in any friendly unit the warlord joins gets preferred enemy loyalist. Also, you get let's see, reactive player, single reaction without expending a point from the reaction allotment, which can allow the warlord and his unit to make more than one reaction in the same phase, but you cannot make the same reaction twice.
Oh, that's wild.
Now, that's
that
only
is a
once
per battle. Yep.
Once per battle, but 2 reactions, same phase.
So you could hold your ground and Overwatch.
Correct.
That's pretty gross. I mean,
Evade and return fire.
Mm-hmm.
Or go back 6 inches and then walk forward 6 inches.
oh, well, it's the same reaction. Oh no, is it?
Yeah, advance and withdraw.
Advance and withdraw. You're right.
I don't know. I think Overwatch and Hold the Line is probably just once per game. Just absolutely smear a unit across like the pavement.
That is
and
brutal.
Then,
yeah.
Whatever gets there, we'll wish it. Gets no bonus for doing so.
Although, keep in mind also, nothing's stopping you from using the advanced reaction as well for the Iron Hands.
Yep.
So you could double Overwatch and then just, what do they call it? I forget what it's called again. Gorgon Spite and Overwatch for 3 for 3 times the shooting.
Wait, hang on. Can that be intentional? I mean,
once per game.
Once per game.
A single reaction doesn't say core reaction. It just says a reaction.
It does not say core reaction. Oh boy, that is.
Yep.
All right.
To add insult to injury, if something does get into close combat get into close combat with you after that, you have preferred enemy on top of that.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, that's All right, this is back to being my favorite again.
I guess I'm playing Trader Iron Hands in my next army because that is funny as hell.
That is,
but not from Hell's Heart.
Boo.
That's good. That's good.
Good times. You're probably going to have to explain it to your opponent once or twice, and they're probably not going to believe you until like the 3rd time they reread it.
Yeah,
but
then you just tell them to listen to this episode of the Remembrancers Retreat. You're welcome.
Doing the work so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer goofy loopholes to whack loopholes. So, and this is certainly goofy.
Yeah,
it's a little goofy and whack. Let's be honest.
A little bit.
Right.
Why is your HQ shooting his sniper rifle 3 times and then? Oh, he can't do it because it's 2 different warlord traits, but still.
Worth it.
To be fair, if you do use the Iron Hands one, your weapon is now gets hot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true.
So
that's
the weapons that would be good for Overwatch with that, like Volkite weapons, now become very dangerous because if you're rolling 10 dice, you're going to get multiple ones in there.
Yeah.
Or 15 dice if you're stacking them.
Well, no. You do the one, you roll the 10 dice, you get a couple ones, you die, and then you can't Overwatch with it.
So do your Overwatch first.
Exactly.
Then Gorgon's Spite. See what's left of the remains. See if you can punch them to death afterwards. If not, continue to apply Volkite.
As needed.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Michael, take us through Silver Iron Will.
Yeah. This is going to be the boring one, I think.
Yeah, a little anticlimactic.
Which is weird because it has a lot of flavor to it. A warlord with this trait and all models in any unit he has joined are never affected by any special rule or effect that lowers a characteristic, including the Fear and Radphage special rules, and due to losing an assault where the enemy has inflicted more wounds. In addition, an army whose warlord has this trait may not make reactions during the movement phase, but may make an additional reaction in either one of the opposing players' shooting or assault phases, but not both. If the warlord is removed as a casualty, then the reaction is lost, but you can make reactions in the movement phase like normal.
This is still pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Not having to take penalties for losing an assault. Fear, you're effectively fearless. Rampage does nothing. I love that.
Being able to double up on your shooting phase reactions or your assault phase reactions is great, particularly since you can choose depending on the turn.
Yeah, that's nice flexibility.
Definitely. And especially, I mean, movement reactions aren't to be slept on, but they're probably the least used.
Yeah. I really like the movement reactions, but if you're getting rid of one, that's the one you want to get rid of.
Certainly.
I found, with movement reactions, like everything, a lot of stuff moves really fast. So unless they just get inside that 12-inch range, you can fall back, but there's still a good chance that you're going to get charged regardless.
The big place I've seen it make a difference is with vehicles.
Yeah.
Because then you can use a reaction and get a turn off.
Good point. I need to double check. Because I was playing a game with Jared the other day, and I just didn't take a chance to look at the rules. Can a vehicle ram if they advance in a reaction? I don't know.
I would assume so, but I'm not sure.
Because that would also be hilarious.
Yes.
I didn't take the time to really open it up and take a look. I didn't know if any of you guys knew it off the top of your head.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm not that smart.
You know what else Silver Iron Will would be good for? Allying in Sisters of Silence.
What's that?
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh, because they won't negatively affect them.
Yep. Sisters of Silence are going to drop a -1 leadership to all of your units within 6 inches. But the Warlord at least doesn't care.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So you get that.
I imagine you probably want the sisters pretty close to whatever your Warlord's doing anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Still solid and can be taken by both loyalists and traitors.
Yes.
Right. Solid, but we got to agree nowhere near as funny as the other two.
This is true.
But I will say all three of them are very viable, though.
Yes.
Each, like you say, some are more funny than others, but I could see having to pick between any of them, and not like an auto take for any. I think
no bad choices.
Correct.
So far, it seems like very solid rules.
Heck yeah! It's like not as wacky as the Alpha Legion, or as really combat swingy as like the World Eaters or the Space Wolves, but nothing about it is ever not going to be useful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, let's see. We have the Rights of War for the Iron Hands. Looks like there's two here. We've got the Company of Bitter Iron. A detachment using this right of war may take Medusan Immortal squads as troop choices. All models in any Medusan Immortal squad selected as a troop's choice in a detachment using this right of war gain the Line Unit subtype and the Heart of the Legion special rule. All models in a detachment using this right of war with both Iron Hands and Bitter Duty special rules also gain the Hatred Traitors special rule. Any model with both the Independent Character and Iron Hands special rules may be given the Bitter Duty special rule for no additional cost. And I'm not sure why you would want to give them Bitter Duty.
I mean, you could put them in with a squad of destroyers.
Oh, that's a good point.
Also because all models in the detachment have Bitter Duty. So you're giving your characters it as well.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, Medusan Immortals have it by...
okay.
So it's so you could attach any given character to an immortal squad that might not otherwise be able to.
Gotcha. And I guess I haven't gotten there yet, but the Medusan Immortals are basically the Terminator Elite squad for the Iron Hands.
They're actually more akin to Phalanx Warders for the Imperial Fists.
Okay.
They're the Gorgons are the Terminators.
That's what I'm thinking. Medusan, Gorgons.
This is. Oh, I guess we have to go over the limitations.
Yeah. We, can only be taken by loyalists and may not include Ferrus Manus. It's not a huge amount of limitations there.
Not a huge limitation. To me, this is, and I think it's intended to be sort of a post Istvan, Survivor's Rite of War.
Definitely.
And this really makes it sort of reminds me of how I'm totally blanking on it. The other Imperial Fist Rite of War.
Stone Gauntlet.
Thank you. Because it sort of buffs your your dudes with Breacher Shields, and Medusan Immortals are certainly not slacking as troops. They're a little pricey, but with the Warlord, or not the Warlord trait, the Iron Hand special rule of -1 shooting attacks, and you'll see later they have a 5-up Feel No Pain by default, plus
Heart of the Legion.
Heart of the Legion means you're getting a 4-up on objectives with that -1 from shooting attacks. And I don't believe you could stack an Apothecary in there. I'm not sure if that adds or not. I feel like one of the existing Feel No Pain rules said that you can't modify it beyond that.
I don't think it would.
Also, with Bitter Duty, I think that would prevent them from taking an Apothecary as well.
But you can do it for free in this Rite of War. Any character with independent character and Legiones Astartes.
Oh.
Yeah, so you could stick a Primus Medicae in there.
Right, because it's Apothecaries aren't independent characters by default, right?
They're just normal characters.
They are not. Yeah. They're not independent.
Yeah. But like you said, the Primus Medicae you could. But
however, Apothecaries gain all the special rules of the unit they join.
They do, but Apothecarian Detachment specifically calls out Bitter Duty as one they don't get.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So if you stick them in with, say, like Palatine Blades, they get like a laundry list of special rules, but not Bitter Duty.
I don't think you particularly need an Apothecary to begin with. It would be more so, did you want to try and cheese up to a 3-up Feel No Pain? It's not even necessary.
But, yeah, like you said, if they've got Feel No Pain already, you don't. And Heart of the Legion.
Heart of the Legion and -1 to shooting attacks.
Yeah, that's plenty.
They're going to be real hard to move.
And to be honest, I don't think an Apothecary would stacks anyways. I'm pretty sure Apothecary is just a 5-up, which it sounds like they naturally get.
Mm-hmm. So it's the Apothecary would stack with Heart of the Legion, but it wouldn't stack with the inherent feeling. Yeah, all right, I'm tracking now.
Yep.
Basically, they already have an Apothecary.
Yeah, for free.
Built in.
All right, so, well, let me tell you all about Head of the Gorgon on the other half of the page here. This is the one I like. I think it's pretty cool. So first off, any infantry units you have in the detachment with this right gain Stubborn within their own deployment zone. Never bad. Any model with the infantry type with flamers can exchange them for graviton guns or graviton shredders for 15 points a model. So expensive, but when we get to graviton shredders on the next page, you'll see why. Castellax can be selected as elites choices. All models in the unit gain It Will Not Die, which is, never bad for these big, chunky, multi-wound models. Any Iron Fathers or Tech Marines can take a Cortex controller for 15 points, and any model with the vehicle unit type in the detachment gains Outflank at no additional cost. Downside, you can only take a single fast attack, and you cannot, under any circumstances, try and seize the initiative. So this one for me is kind of fun. There's no loyalist or traitor lock on it. It makes your infantry super stable in your own deployment zone. And even though it's not as overall useful as basically free apothecaries across your entire army, graviton shredders are hilarious and terrific. Of course, my first thought would just be a ridiculously expensive squad of a tactical support squad with 7 or 8 of them with graviton shredders that would just annihilate a dreadnought just by looking at it.
Sure.
But practically, I think it's really valuable for being able to stick in squads that can take, breachers, that can take, a couple of special weapons in there. Things like that. Ethan, what are you thinking?
I think it's a pretty solid Rite of War. I think it lends itself to taking Gorgon Terminators more than it does Immortals. because immortals already have stubborn by default. So I think really what they're going for here is you can anchor your deployment zone with infantry, and then you can sort of use your outflanking vehicles as your hammer and anvil, if you will.
Solid. Can't complain about that.
And certainly you can throw in your Mechanicum flavor in there as well. And, we all know how tightly knit the Iron 10th and the Mechanicum are.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of those Graviton Shredders, I can cheat just a little bit and talk about them on the next page over. Because they're super fun, and I'm sure pretty much everybody that's played Heresy so far has probably heard about the Iron Hands Moritat by now.
Yeah.
Real dumb, real fun. It's the name of the game. So Graviton Shredders. So any model with the infantry type and Legionis Astartes can upgrade a Graviton gun to a Graviton Shredder for 5 points. And any model that also has the character subtype can exchange a plasma pistol for a Graviton pistol at no additional points. So for the Shredders, you got 12-inch range, nil strength, AP4, Assault 2, Concussive 1, Graviton Pulse, and Haywire. You'll remember Graviton Pulse is that wonky rule that forces your opponent to roll a strength check, and then also an armor save if they fail it. Then your Graviton Pistols are the same deal, but Pistol 1, Concussive 1, Graviton Pulse, Haywire. The reason they're great on a Moritat is because everybody, has, kind of got to think up ways to kill dreadnoughts now. This is one of them, because the Moritat can chain fire, and unlike things like Melt-A-Pistols for the Blood Angels, you don't have to worry about gets hot, because they don't. And you can just drop 12 dice on some unsuspecting Dreadnought, Leviathan, Spartan, what have you, and just 10 glances, just for looking at you funny.
Yep. It's really rude.
I think both of these are also great tools because concussive is, you don't even have to wound, you just have to hit a unit and suddenly they're taking a leadership check or have their weapon skill reduced. And if you want to pair that with the from Hell's Heart and, they're close enough to your warlord, there's a -1 fear penalty right there.
Right.
So if you're doing some Zone Mortalis shenanigans, that's a fun time.
Oh yeah. That would be pretty gross in ZM.
Yeah.
And on this other page, we've also got the other sort of mechanical bling that the Iron Hands get.
Yeah, tell us about it.
All right, so we have the Iron Father as the Iron Hands specific HQ unit. Any Legion Praetor, Legion Cataphracti Praetor, or Legion Tartarus Praetor with the Legiones Astartes Iron Hands special rule may be upgraded to an Iron Father for 65 points and gains the benefits listed below. Iron Father, a Legion Praetor, Cataphracti Praetor, blah blah blah, with the Iron Hands Father or the Iron Father upgrade, gains the Battlesmith 3+, Feel No Pain 5+, and the Machinator Array and Cyber Familiar War Gear. And you may not select a Warhawk Jump Pack, a Combat Bike, or a Jet Bike.
So, not gonna lie, I do wish he could be speedy, but can't have everything.
I can't be zipping between tanks to fix them, but...
Yep. Also, one of the few upgrades that's not a console upgrade for Centurion. This one specifically is for Praetors, so you're definitely paying a premium for this, but he does get a lot of extra there.
I guess, does that... if they're upgraded from a Praetor, do they still have the benefits of a Praetor?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure, yeah.
Yep.
So it's a way of adding a little bit more flavor to your generic Praetor, and you get some cool war gear, too. I think the Machinator Array is pretty solid, and the Cyber Familiars, further down on the page, but it's effectively a +1 to your invulnerable save. That's 20 points on its own, so a lot of the upgrades are just kind of built right into this guy as well. The point, that 65 points that you're paying is not all just a couple extra rules. You get some nice war gear.
Oh yeah. I have noticed people online are fond of giving him lightning claws, or a pair of lightning claws, because it gives you +2 attacks, and now you can feed all of those. What is that? What I want to say, 8 attacks through the Machinator array,
No.
which is essentially a power axe with shred and armor bane. And then you've got a 3-up invulnerable. It's pretty good.
It seems... I don't quite follow how you're able to just feed those into the Machinator array. I thought you had to be using the specialist weapon to gain the bonus attacks, but...
So, I'm a little disappointed in the last... one of the small things from the last FAQ was a question of, can you use the Machinator array's profile for all of your attacks, or just those 2 bonus ones that it grants you? And the answer was no, you could use the Machinator array profile for all of your attacks, if you so choose. And the argument goes that since Lightning Claws give you not 1, but 2 bonus attacks for fighting with them, you're technically still fighting with them, you're just not using their profile.
Yeah. I need to double check. Is it... Go ahead.
It doesn't actually say fighting with them when a model has 2 lightning claws.
That was going to be my next question. Do you have to fight with them or just have to be equipped with them?
I'm with Ethan. That doesn't feel quite right, but rules
It's
is
a little
written.
lame.
Yep, that's what it says.
We can't win them all.
Yep.
But before we get too far away from it, I want to talk about Gorgon Terminator armor, because they are hilarious. We've also got the Blessed Auto Simulacra, which, if y'all will remember from earlier, that delightful vehicle half of the Iron Hands Legionis Astartes rule, this is what stacks with it. So any model with vehicle type and Iron Hand special rule can be upgraded for It Will Not Die 6+, and it will be increased to 5+ by the Medusa Scale special rules, and that's 10 points. Every one of your vehicles, any of them you want, It Will Not Die 5+.
Are there any vehicles that have It Will Not Die built in? Any of the super heavies or anything? I feel like there were last edition, but...
I can be honest, I have not looked.
It's been a minute.
But, I mean, 10 points, especially with, how much AT there is, and if it's a heavy vehicle or reinforced, it's, not only is it going to continue shooting, but you can have a pretty solid chance of getting a whole point back every turn, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So flipping through the book, I don't see any super heavies with it natively listed, but we know how they like nesting special rules, so I'm not going to claim it's not there.
Well,
going back to Gorgon Terminator armor, since I know that has one of Jason's favorite rules.
Absolutely. So Gorgon Terminator armor is sort of like, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a stopgap, but it's definitely like an adjacent pattern to Indomitus, which is kind of nice. So anybody that has Cataphractii armor, so Praetor or Centurion, can exchange that for Gorgon armor at no additional cost. So you got a 2-up armor save, a 5-up invulnerable, and Feel No Pain 5+. Sadly, does not stack with any other variant of Feel No Pain. But at the end of any phase with which the Gorgon Terminator armor has passed at least one armor or invulnerable save, roll the d6. On a 4+, all enemy units with at least one model within 6 inches of the model of the Gorgon Terminator armor has to test as if they've been hit with a unit with the blind special rule.
We know you like blind, Jason.
Is it?
I do love blind, and it's a 6-inch bubble.
Let's see.
I believe it only calls out enemy models, correct?
Yep.
So
and if for some reason you're fighting enemy models with Gorgon Terminator armor, they are immune to it if the entire unit has it equipped.
What's interesting, though,
is this because of Medusa?
Probably.
Is this a Medusa reference?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Yeah, Medusa was queen of the Gorgons,
Yeah. Okay.
what a deep pool.
right?
Fair play, GW.
We just got to start like keeping score as we go through here. Where there's one Easter egg with GW, there's bound to be more.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Easter eggs all the way down.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but unlike Cataphracti armor and Indomitus armor, Gorgon Terminator armor is not heavy.
I don't think Tartarus is heavy, isn't it?
Tartarus is not
Tartarus
heavy.
But you have to upgrade specifically from a Cataphracti, Praetor, or Centurion.
Yeah, which the unit profile is heavy, or has the heavy subtype.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
So I think you still maintain that heavy subtype.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tracking now.
that would be my guess. The fact they call Cataphracti specifically out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that makes more sense now. Well, while we're here, Jesse, Mike, one of y'all want to take us through the Armatus Necrotechnica? That wacky nonsense?
Though first, I want to confirm that, Cataphracti squads are natively heavy,
Got it.
along with the HQs.
Delightful.
So they would remain heavy. Armatus Necrotechnica, which sounds like it's going to be spicy. Any one model with the vehicle unit type in a detachment with the Legionis Astartes Iron Hands faction that does not have the flyer subtype may be upgraded to have the Armatus Necrotechnica for 50 points. Whenever a unit, friendly or enemy, with at least one model within 6 inches of a model with the vehicle unit type with this upgrade has one or more models removed as casualties, roll a d6 for each model removed. For each result of a 6, the model with this upgrade regains 1 hull point. This may not bring it back above the starting hull points. In addition, any friendly or enemy unit with at least one model within 6 inches of a model with the Armatus Necrotechnica must reduce the leadership value of all models in that unit by -1. Units with the stubborn special rule may not ignore this modifier. Is this a vampire tank?
Yeah, I think it's like
Or cannibal tank?
Pristine. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of some of the Necron shenanigans. I think there was also a sort of a similar chaos vehicle rule like Hellforged at some point in 40k that allowed you to kind of regain hull points from enemies. If it's certainly cool. 50 points seems a little steep for what it offers. I guess it depends on what vehicle you're really going for here. If you wanted to, you could throw it on a super heavy, but it's not something I would throw on anything smaller than a Spartan.
Yeah, I'd probably throw it on a super heavy because I do not want this thing that I paid an extra 50 points for to just explode on me.
Yeah.
now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was from last edition, one of those Psi Arcana.
Yeah, it was some sort of... I think you're correct, yeah. I don't know if it was the exact same name, but yes.
But the effect was pretty darn close.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was effectively the same thing.
That makes a lot of sense. The thought I have with this is you got the Rite of War where you're outflanking your vehicles.
Mhm.
You stick this on a Spartan, outflank the Spartan, ram it into the enemy, dislodge your Terminators, and while the Spartan is sitting here within 6 inches of the enemy unit, Terminators go in and kill some dudes.
If you have your Hell's Heart, then it's suddenly a -2 to your leadership, and you hit them with Grav, and they're taking that concussion test at -2.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully your opponent's not playing a Solar Ox, where you're just eating everything like little snacks. Little bite-sized mortals.
Nom nom.
Nom, 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 nom.
Rude.
Oh,
Rude.
cool. Well, that's all the special rules before we get into the units. And we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And break. Ba-ba-ba. GoblinsHut.com is the distributor for the Dirty Down paint line and other hobby products in North America. Dirty Down liquid effects and aging sprays have been used by prop masters in TV and film for over 30 years to create incredible realistic-looking effects in a fast, reliable way. They can be spotted in some of your favorite media such as Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and Alien, just to name a few. That precision has now been brought to the miniature realm and is taking the hobby by storm. In the Dirty Down line, you'll find rust, moss, and verdigris effects unlike anything else on the market. With a vigorous shake and a mix of a bottle, a single wash creates the combined effects of multiple other paints and even provides a subtle texture. Dirty Down's entire line is also water soluble, so you can achieve a wide variety of effects, entirely reworking, removing, or layering to your heart's content to achieve the perfect weathered look. With this capability, the line is perfect for speed painting while also having the depth for use for competition pieces. If you'd like to buy Dirty Down at a shop near you, ask your friendly local game store to go to goblinshut.com for information on stocking it. You can also purchase it direct as well. Also, all listeners of the Remembrancers Retreat can get a 5% discount on your online order with the promo code RR30K. And patrons of the Remembrancers Retreat get 15% off their orders. Once again, that's goblinshut.com, home of the Dirty Down liquid effects. And we're back. Ethan, we forgot to ask you earlier, but we'll do it now. What makes you so intrigued with the Iron Hands? Why do you enjoy them? And what advice do you have for other people who are interested in the Iron Hands?
Well, the people that know me well will certainly not be surprised by this at all, but the most basic answer is, of course, tanks. But more realistically, I always thought they had really cool lore. I've always really enjoyed like the Mechanicum, and I liked how as a Space Marine chapter and Legion, they've always meshed well with that. Aesthetically, I think they're very pleasing. And in Heresy, they have some really unique models and units and rules. And the only reason I sort of didn't pick them originally is because I just moved from 40K and I was tired of painting black because my army was Black Templars. So, but as far as getting into them, it's really hard to go wrong. They're certainly kind of lend themselves to be a little bit more of a shooting army. But that's not to say that you can't do well in close combat with them. There's a lot of great paint schemes. Don't feel like you have to limit yourself to Mark III armor or Mark II armor, because there's some great schemes of other armor marks, and we're not going to go into the armor mark discussion again, but
but we can. But we won't. But we won't.
Do what makes you happy.
We really don't want to, though.
Speak for yourself, Michael.
That's really okay. Want to go back to those 3 months, the internet just screaming at each other about armor marks.
Heck yeah, that's how we made a name.
We're going to have to slam a few Red Bulls before we get back into that again.
Yeah, we were those guys. We were also the guys that made everybody mad when we told them you had to break and flee if you failed a morale check from Hold the Line. Stay mad, nerds.
Anyways,
good times. But please, continue.
Yeah, I mean, they have some great narratives, some great stories. Obviously, their Primarch has, sort of his own thing going on. Doesn't necessarily show up during a lot of the Heresy for obvious reasons. And you'll have to bear the brunt of many head jokes. But, I mean, that's true of, like, every Legion and their tropes.
Yeah,
so
as a Dark Angels player, I have no sympathy.
As an Imperial Fist player, I know what you're talking about.
I play the Emperor's Children, and they never did anything wrong ever. So I'm in the clear.
No, they don't get made fun of anything.
No.
All right, well, let's dig into some of these Iron Hand specific units. And might as well get started with the man himself. The Manus himself. of
The Gorgon.
Manus Ferris himself.
Hey,
Ferris
you know
Manus.
what? They have an issue with over theming. Okay, like give them a break.
The Iron Hand himself.
Yep. Master of the Iron Hands, the Gorgon, Worm Slayer, and the Great Iron Father. Mr. Ferris Manus coming in at 465 points
Woof.
with a stat line as follows. Movement of 8, weapon skill of 7, ballistic skill of 6, strength and toughness of 7, 6 wounds, initiative of 6, 6 attacks base, leadership 10, and with a 2-up save. He is composed of a single Ferris Manus. His war gear includes the Medusan Carapace, Servo Arm, Forge Breaker, Mastercrafted Plasma Blaster, Mastercrafted Graviton Shredder, a Heavy Flamer, and a Grenade Harness. Special rules. He is a unique Heavy Primarch. Heavy, that's interesting. I don't know how many Primarchs are Heavy, but something to keep in mind.
Huh.
He is Iron Hands, Master of the Legion. He has a Battlesmith of 2-up, which is really cool. Firing protocols of 3. He is a Loyalist, of course, and he is the Sire of the Iron Hands. Are you looking at Heavy, seeing if that affects his initiative?
So I don't have the right book in front of me, but I was looking for Primarch to see if that does anything to negate the no running. I don't think it does, but it might.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I keep forgetting that they cannot run if they're heavy.
He's already moving 8 inches, so I have to wonder where you moving? Where are you going so fast?
Yeah, to the opponent. Can't kick his ass from over here.
Well, that's what your Mastodon or your Spartan is for, so you can open up the doors and then you can run another 8.
That's a good point.
I'm sure Fulgrim will close the distance for him.
All right, Warlord, Siren of the Iron Hands. If chosen as the Army's Warlord, Ferris Manus automatically has the Sire of the Iron Hands Warlord trait. All models with both the infantry unit type and Legiones Astartes Iron Hands special rule in the same army as Ferris Manus gain the Feel No Pain 6-up special rule, which does not stack with other versions of the same special rule, and models that already have a better version can choose. And all models with both the vehicle unit type and Iron Hand special rule gain the It Will Not Die 5-up special rule. In addition, an army with Ferris Manus gains an additional reaction in the assault phase as long as Ferris Manus has not been removed as a casualty. Kind of a little... Feel No Pain 6-up's fine.
I just noticed it does not specifically call out It Will Not Die as not stacking with the existing Iron Hands rule, I don't believe. The additional Legiones Astartes buff for vehicles.
Yeah, but how would you stack that per se? If they got, I mean,
because
this one's
it says
better.
if it already has It Will Not Die, then you gain +1. So if you already have,
there you go.
So you could have It Will Not Die 4-up on your vehicles.
That
seems a little shenanigan-y, but
that's Primarch.
Yeah, you got your Primarch out there. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, it's nice, but hey, vehicles work just like multi-wound models, right? Like you have to attribute the ones to already wounded. So it's not like you can put individual hull points on each one in a squad and try to repair them all.
Yeah, that's true.
It's good, but I don't think it's going to blow anybody's weight back.
Particularly since the infantry half seems redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention for It Will Not Die, you just roll a single die and gain 1 whole point back.
Yeah.
So, again, like you said, not the end of the world. If you're only getting a whole point back at a time, you're probably losing more than 1 whole point a turn, too.
That's certainly true.
Yeah. Better than nothing, I guess.
We do have the Medusan Carapace and Forge Breaker. The Medusan Carapace grants a 2-up armor save and a 3-up invulnerable save. So I think 3-up's probably on one of the few Primarchs that has a 3-up, I believe. And Forge Breaker is Strength 12, AP 1, Melee, Mastercrafted, Exoshock 3-up, and Brutal 3.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
It's not unwieldy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Swings
not
that
when he
initiative.
has it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, swinging at initiative. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
6 attacks at strength 12. Brutal 3.
Mastercrafted. And I think Exoshock is an extra hull point.
If you make, I think it's a penetrating hit, you roll a d6, and for this, it's a 3-up. You would get an additional automatic penetrating hit.
Mm-hmm. I think weapon skill 7 is sort of the middle of the pack for Primarchs.
Well, they're all either 7 or 8 now, except for Lorgar, who's a sad sack of crap. He's 6. And you have to bring his dad if you want hatred.
He's a talker, not a fighter.
Yeah.
But still, when he hits, whoever he hits is going to feel it.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, I feel like Ferrus Manus, like occasionally Primarchs like Kurz have trouble with specific targets. I feel like there's not a lot of target that Ferrus Manus has any sort of issue with. Like Dreadnought, Vehicle, really ballsy dude who decides to challenge him. Like he's
Titan.
gonna flatten it. Yeah.
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 I mean, again, he's not making a single strike. He's making 6 attack space, strength 12, AP 1.
Mm-hmm.
And at brutal 3,
Master Shock 3-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great for vehicles, but anything else, anything else,
Yeah.
it's going to have a bad day.
Like Dreadnoughts, you're going to hammer apart with brutal. Vehicles, you're going to smack the crap out of with strength 12, AP 1, and Exoshot.
You're just cracking open super heavies.
I was going to say, how many swings does he need to drop a Titan?
Probably not that many.
Yeah.
I mean, because given each one's strength 12, you're not quite guaranteed to penetrate, but it's pretty darn close.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got AP 1, so you're getting +2 on so you basically got a 1 in 5 chance of just detonating the vehicle when you hit it.
Yep.
Or for super heavy, getting that D3 bonus.
Yeah, and Exoshock
plus another one for Exoshock.
Yeah, because you can only get a max of 1 with the attack. You don't get an Exoshock roll for each single attack that penetrates.
Yeah. I believe you.
Do you not?
All right. If this weapon successfully scores a penetrating hit on the target, roll the d6. If the result of that roll is equal to or higher than the value in brackets, an automatic penetrating hit is inflicted on the same target, against which cover saves may not be taken.
Yeah, so I don't think you get an extra for each one. I could be mistaken, but I feel that's not the case. It wasn't the case in first edition, but I know that's not necessarily a precedent to stand on.
I don't know. I'm kind of going back and forth now, because it says if this weapon successfully scores a penetrating hit.
I think that's the key. It says if the weapon.
Instead
if it said
of when.
if for each penetrating hit that you score with a weapon. I think if it said for
sense.
each hit.
But also, I feel like if it was supposed to be only once, it would say if this weapon scores any.
I hate that we have to debate this. So.
Right?
I mean, I think in this context, it's not going to make that much difference because,
I don't know. It could. That's the difference between especially if you're fighting a Titan. That's the difference between potentially 6 hits or 12 or 7 hits or 12 penetrating hits.
It might come up at cons past that.
Maybe when you're fighting the Titan. But I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and super heavies, but other than that, I'll be one we put on the parking lot for FAQ.
Yeah. I do want an answer to that because I've got the las cannons on my Daredeo.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, it's not going to matter until it really, really matters.
Right. But he is a beast. And that weapon just with the 3-up invuln save and Forge Breaker in his hands, that is, he is formidable.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize he was initiative 6. I thought he was initiative 5.
Oh yeah, no. He
How does it compare to, does Pretorabo still get Forge Breaker as an option?
He does, but it's kind of garbage because it's still unwieldy, and for some reason it's only brutal too. I guess because his little arms can't swing it as hard.
he's just not attuned to the weapon. That's all. That was a D&D joke. Anyway, Gorgon Terminators.
Yeah, tell us about them Gorgon Terminators.
Damn shit, I'll go again. Fine, whatever. Gorgon
Yeah, fire away.
Terminators, 200 points. Composed of 4 Gorgon Terminators and the Gorgon Hammerbearer, which is the Sergeant. Rocking in at movement 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, and toughness of 4. 2 wounds each, initiative 4, 2 attacks base for the Terminators, and 3 for the Hammerbearer. Leadership 8 and 9, respectively. So, pretty darn good. Mostly Terminator-based stats, other than the extra leadership. They come with the Gorgon Terminator armor, which we discussed earlier. Come with Combi Bolter base. They have power axes for the Terminators, or for the Gorgon Terminators, and a Thunder Hammer for, you guessed it, the Hammer Bearer. The Hammer Bearer has a grenade harness. These are heavy infantry, and the Hammer Bearer is a character as well. You have Iron Hands, special rule, a Feel No Pain of a 5-up. They are relentless, stubborn, and bulky too. If there's 5 or less, they can take a Proteus carrier as a dedicated transport. Anything bigger, they may take a Land Raider Spartan as a dedicated transport. Well, any size can take a Land Raider Spartan as a dedicated transport. You can take up to 5 additional Terminators for 35 points each, which feels cheaper. Or maybe I'm just used to my expensive Terminators.
I think you're just used to your expensive Terminators.
Yep. They can take a Vexilla for 10 points. Any of the Terminators can exchange their Power Axe for a Power Fist for 10 points, a Chain Fist for 15, or a Lightning Claw for 5 points each. Any Terminator can change his... Go ahead.
Yeah, you're paying 5 points more for Gorgon Terminators.
Okay.
Each.
Gotcha. The Terminators can exchange their Combi Bolters for either a Magna Combi Weapon for 10, Minor Combi Weapon for 5, or a Lightning Claw for 5. That's cool. You can do a single Lightning Claw with these guys.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of unique. I don't think I've seen a single Lightning Claw on a Terminator before. But if you wanted to do that, you could. For every 3 models in the unit, Gorgon Terminator may exchange a Combi Bolter for any one of the following: a Heavy Flamer for 5, or a Reaper Autocannon, Plasma Blaster, or Graviton Gun for 15 points each. Gorgon Hammerbearer can exchange his Combi Bolter for a Magna for 10, or a Minor Combi Weapon for 5. So, at 200 points, nothing too crazy with these folks. Keeping in mind with the Iron Hands, or the Iron Hand special rule of -1 strength against attacks. Again, like we mentioned, suddenly multi-meltas aren't quite as much of a threat, or a lot of the heavier powered weapons are no longer a threat to just insta-gibbing these guys. They automatically have a Feel No Pain of a 5-up, so you never have to worry about evading with them. You can always just make that return fire during that shooting reaction. I mean, I guess you could evade if you, if they got attacked by a strength of 9, if you really wanted a slight chance of succeeding to save them.
It's kind of the small downside, though, is they lose that 4+ invulnerable.
Yeah, that's...
They do get stubborn instead, though.
Which is real nice.
Stubborn is handy instead of inexorable.
They get stubborn and built-in apothecary.
Which I learned last time. Stubborn and inexorable. Pretty decent sides of the same coin.
And it is worth noting, and I think most people think of the Gorgon Terminator armor as having blind in close combat only, but I believe it's also shooting. So if you're getting up there real close, and you make some saves on Overwatch or whatever, and you make a successful save, suddenly everybody within 6 inches of you has to take a blind check. And if you're running in to close combat, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you really want to, you can throw on some graviton guns and sort of hopefully reduce your opponent's weapon skill, or because they're not exactly with weapon skill 4, they're not exactly the most close combat oriented or champions, if you will, of the Legion specific Terminators. But I think the options that they have sort of at least give them a decent chance.
Those graviton guns really do help knock a few extra wounds off dreadnoughts too, especially on like an Overwatch or some such.
Mm-hmm. Are dreadnoughts affected by concussive?
They are, because Fearless does not prevent leadership checks. It means you ignore fear and you're stubborn, and you automatically pass morale checks. So, yes, they are still affected by cover. They are still affected by concussive, because concussive is a leadership check.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does the Heavy or Leviathan, does that have anything that might negate that?
Not that I'm aware of.
I can't imagine Reinforced would do anything for that, but I don't quite know.
I could take a look and find out if you guys want to go tackle the next.
Yeah. In conclusion,
Immortals.
The Gorgons look like a solid upgrade on a standard Terminator squad, though maybe not quite the weapon skill 5 beat sticks that people often want from the Legion specific Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
But still, solid upgrade.
I like that you can do for every one of 3 instead of one of every 5. Allows you to sneak in a few extra heavy weapons.
But moving on to the Medusan Immortals. This is a 205 point squad base. And this will be for 10 models. Looking at stat line, we have movement 7, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, initiative 4, 2 attacks, extra 1 on the sergeant, everybody's leadership 10, which is nice, and a 3-up save. They are heavy. For war gear, they've got boarding shield, bolter, bolt pistol, frag and crack grenades. And then under special rules, they have Legiones Astartes, Iron Hands, of course, Field No Pain 5-up, Bitter Duty, and Stubborn. Which already, oof, this is a nice squad.
Yeah.
However, if you want to go even harder, you can take up to 10 additional Immortals, turning this into a 20-man squad at 18 points each. Any model in the squad can exchange their bolter for a chainsword or a Volkite charger for 2 points. Any model with a bolter can take a bayonet or chain bayonet, which rules is written they then can't use because they have a boarding shield. But I'm sure that's not intended, because else why would they be able to take it? They just brace it on the shield. It's fine. For every 5 models in the unit, 1 immortal may exchange their bolter for one of the following options. A flamer for 5 points, melt-a-gun for 15, graviton gun for 15, las cutter for 20. And the sergeant can exchange their bolt pistol and or chainsword for one of the following. No single option may be selected more than once. Plasma pistol for 10 points, Volkite Serpenta for 5, power weapon for 10, power fist for 15, thunderhammer for 20. Sergeant may also take melta-bombs at 10 points, and the sergeant may take artificer armor for 10 points. So, nice little upgrade on a breacher squad.
Mm-hmm. And that's all they have in the book. and Liber Astartes. However, I do know the Exemplary Battles and the Legacies have a few things.
Yeah, though I want to look something up real quick.
Okay.
'Cause I think I'm gonna... Okay, no, I was wrong. I was thinking Breachers were movement 6, not 7. But I was incorrect there.
I was just looking up real quick the bayonet thing like you mentioned. It is unfortunate that they are two-handed, because I always thought that was super cool that they could take them, but
Yeah.
especially since you're getting an additional attack compared to normal breachers. And then if you throw on, if you're taking them in Company of Bitter Iron, anything with Bitter Duty gets Hatred Traders. So suddenly they become real nasty. But
if my opponent was using bayonets on them, I certainly wouldn't say anything. But rules is written, the bayonet's two-handed, they got a porting shield. You can use two-handed weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also take a chainsword, but then you're sort of foregoing your shooting, and you're not getting an additional attack for having a bolt pistol and a chainsword.
Also, they have the option for bayonets. Clearly, they're intended to be able to use the bayonet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to say that you can't. I mean, we've seen plenty of Astartes, one hand a bolter. Who's to say you can't jab with it? You're not going to be as good with it, but, and you can certainly brace it with your shield too. But
yeah.
And they can take graviton guns, which you can exchange for other stuff, which is fun for reducing your opponent's weapon skill or taking stuff off dreadnoughts. So in Zone Mortalis, they're quite good.
And again, Leadership 10 was stubborn.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all but fearless.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
So yeah, having gone through the units in the book, my thoughts are nothing particularly sexy, but everything is just very solid.
Yeah. Plus, also, it's such a wide buff for an entire army.
Mm-hmm.
Even your basic stuff, suddenly everything is that much better, that much tougher. So it's not like you need a lot.
No.
It's super hard to dislodge some of these guys if they're, super embedded or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But as Jesse was mentioning, we do have some additional units to talk about. Do we want to start with the Exemplary Battle or with the Legacies?
Heck yeah, I'll check more.
Alrighty, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So Autek Moore has a tiny, near and dear place to my heart, because the very first Heresy grad school we ever recorded was on his section called what was it? It was Blood and Iron. Essentially where he drops a moon on the World Eaters recruiting planet of Bot.
Such a cool thing to do.
Right?
What a baller.
He did not look at that explosion as he flew out of the system.
Love that.
Good times. If I had to pick a favorite loyalist, it would be Autek Moore. So, let's talk about him. He is... he's not Strength and Toughness 5 anymore. I just realized that, and it makes me sad a bit. There used to be rumors of him being an Ogren, maybe? Or maybe an old Thunder Warrior. Because in the first edition, he did have Strength and Toughness 5, which was hilarious. Anyhow, so you have essentially a Cataphracti Praetor. He's awesome across the board. He comes stock with a Volkite Charger, Argonikos, his fun little personal weapon, a Cyber Familiar, and the Armus Panopticos. Also, outside of a normal Praetor, he's fearless, dope, Battlesmith 3+, and he gets the Warlord trait Tyrant's Wrath. So any unit made up of models with the Iron Hands trait that he joins, add +1 to the amount of wounds caused when calculating who's won close combat. So bloody-handed. At the end of the combat, after pile-in and consolidation, a unit that has added this bonus suffers a single wound with no armor saves or damage allowed. In addition, you get an extra shooting phase reaction. This is bloody-handed that they punish you for taking. I'm not super sure why. So he's probably going to be one of those warlords like Eidolon, where I specifically include somebody else to be the warlord. So he has the Armatus Panopticos, which is his combination, like Machinator Array, with his little attacky hands, and Cataphractii armor. So it gives him 2+ armor, 4+ invulnerable, feel no pain, 5+, that does not stack. And it also has a manipulator array, which gives him strength 6, not strength 5, bonus attacks. But then again, they're the same otherwise. I take that back. He does still have the same shred, unwieldy, armor-bane melee, but he gets precision strikes 3+ with his little upgunned Machinator array. And lastly, he has the immense double-headed halberd that Autek Mor carried to battle and bore as a self-appointed badge of office was another of his own creations, constructed with countless layers of ferro alloy liberated from the ancient forges of Damas. Brutal even without augmentation, due to its sheer size and weight, Argonikos projects a crackling energy field that vaporizes flesh and steel alike. So, it gives him +2 strength, AP2, melee, two-handed, and Reaping Blow 2 is one of the very few places I've seen Reaping Blow higher than 1. So not bad business.
And it's AP2 and initiative. It's not unwieldy.
Yeah. Not going to complain about that.
I guess on the bright side, he won't need to add the bonus from Tyrant's Wrath. He's going to kill
point.
enough things.
Yeah, he will punch enough dudes. Yeah, because as long as he's in base contact with at least 2 dudes, he's going to be getting, 8 attacks? Including the 2 bonus from the manipulator array?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Nope,
Yeah.
not bad at all.
And then, next page over, we got Shadrach Medusan, who is 90 points less than Autek Mor, who is 225. Oh, you guys want me to do this one too?
Oh.
Sorry,
I don't have the document open. I figured.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Okay.
I got it. So, Shadrach Medusan, you have an Artificer Armored Praetor, but also he comes down with an Archaeotech pistol and a bolt gun, his Albion Power Gladys, which you will remember from the first edition. You've also got his unique warlord trait, Stormbringer. So Shadrach and any friendly models with the Iron Hands trait gain Furious Charge 1. This doesn't stack or increase if you have any other Furious Charges, and you may make an additional reaction in the Assault phase. Then Albion Power Gladius. Strength 1, AP 3, Breaching 5+, and Mastercrafted. I don't hate it, but also he's only 135 points. Like, that's pretty cheap.
He seems solid for the points he is. He's just a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, I know everybody's going to cry about him not having a native AP2 weapon, but,
Yeah.
He's 135 points. What do you want? I mean, a Paragon Blade is 30 points by itself.
I think for 135 points and Master of the Legion, and I mean lore-wise too, he'd make a great ZM character.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty apropos. Get a 7th Serpent ZM game going on.
Yeah,
solid choice.
It's one of my favorite characters from the books as well. So I do have a model of him. I think it was actually, I think Will actually sort of kit bashed him.
Solid.
All right, and I can take care of the Morlocks.
All right, Mike, bring us home.
And this is from the Exemplary Battle, The Death of Canopus, which I'm pretty sure is the most recent one, right?
I believe so.
That sounds right.
So these guys are an HQ choice, so keep that in mind. Iron Hands Morlock Terminator Squad at 150 points. Base unit composition, you are getting 2 Morlocks and 1 Augmentor. Stat line is Move 6, Weapon Skill 5, Ballistic Skill 4, Strength 4, Toughness 4, 2 wounds, Initiative 4, 2 attacks, 3 on the Augmentor, Leadership 8, 9 on the Augmentor, and a 2-up save. They are heavy. Base equipment, Combi Bolter, Power Weapon, Legion Cataphractii Terminator Armor. Special rules, Relentless, Stubborn, Bulky 2, Battle Hardened 1, Loyalist, Avernian Retinue, and Fate of the Gorgon. Jumping over to read those real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Avernian Retinue is the retinue rule. Allows them to be taken as part of another HQ choice. It does say may, so don't feel like you have to take them as retinue, though. Do they have support squad or anything like? I'm not seeing it, which does suggest that the Augmentor can be your warlord, which is always fun, having a non-independent character warlord. However, moving on, Fate of the Gorgon. If selected as part of a detachment in any army that includes Varus Manus, an Iron Hands Morlock Terminator Squad gains the Chosen Warriors special rule. If selected as part of a detachment in an army that does not include Varus Manus, an Iron Hands Morlock Terminator Squad gains the Preferred Enemy Emperor's Children special rule.
Rude.
Yeah. They are either chosen warriors of their Primarch or out to get some revenge. We always love seeing those kinds of rules.
Mm-hmm. Except deliverers.
Dedicated transport. An Iron Hands Morlock Terminator Squad can take a Legion Land Raider Proteus carrier as a dedicated transport. Nice and simple. If the 3 models isn't quite enough, you can take 2 more Morlocks for 35 points each. 1 Morlock may exchange their Combi Bolter for a Legion Standard. 1 Morlock may take an Augury Scanner. 1 Morlock may take a Nuncio Vox. And any model in the unit may exchange their power weapons for Power Fists, Lightning Claw, or Chain Fist. Additionally, any model in the unit may exchange their Combi Bolter for one of the following: a Volkite Charger for free, or a Graviton Gun for 10 points. So you can have 10 Graviton Guns on a Terminator Squad.
That'll be fun.
You could have 5 because they only go up to a unit of 5.
Yeah. Did I not say 5?
You said 10.
I definitely meant 5. Sorry about that. That being said, you may not want to go with 5 because the Augmentor can also exchange their Combi Bolter for a Volkite Culverin for 10 points.
Always a strong weapon of choice.
Yes.
It's a cool modeling opportunity, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ethan, have you had a chance to play or theory craft with this unit yet?
I haven't yet. I do actually have some Cataphractii on sprue that I'm going to kit bash into a squad. I haven't quite decided exactly how I want to load them out. They're kind of similar to the sort of existing Terminator Command Squad with some additional flavor and some pretty solid rules, especially with battle hardened, stubborn, relentless, in the retinue. I would certainly throw a Legion Standard in there because, then you throw in, you also have line suddenly.
Yep.
The Volkite Culvern is a pretty solid choice. I tend to try and kit my Terminators out to do one thing very well rather than, try and do multiple things. So maybe the Volkite Culvern's not the best choice. Maybe, with weapon skill 5, you want to, throw more close combat weapons on these guys, make the most of that. Especially since, Gorgon Terminators aren't bad, but they're, still weapon skill 4. These guys are weapon skill 5.
Makes sense. Gotta have someone as the tip of the spear.
Mm-hmm.
That is another point they kind of share with the Iron Warriors. The Iron Warriors also had to wait till they're like a special unit, to get Dominators before they got a weapon skill 5 Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I do think is worth pointing out is that there's no restriction on how many units of Morlock Terminators you can take,
Really?
as long as you've got the HQ slots for it.
That is delightful.
Is rather interesting.
So you can take 2 squads of them along with your Iron Father. Or you can just take 3 of them and have one of them be the Warlord.
Yeah, I mean, no limit, and you start off with 3, which isn't a lot, but you can go up to 5, and they're only 35 points. So what is that? Math is hard. 220 for upgrades.
Yep.
So certainly not bad compared to sort of your base Terminator squad. You're paying an extra 20 points, and you're getting weapon skill 5.
Mm-hmm. Give them all banners and make them all line.
Yeah.
It does say one of them can exchange the combi bolter.
But if you're taking multiple squads...
If you take multiple HQ units, yeah.
As might be the theme of the night, you know what I think these guys would be great for?
Zone Mortalis?
Zone Mortalis.
Yeah. Iron Hands are a great Zone Mortalis army, and that's my original army plan, was just to make a nice Zone Mortalis force with them. But I repurposed some Land Raiders, so,
Yeah.
Battle hardened along with the -1 to shooting attack strength is pretty darn good. I was just trying to do the math in my head on how high a strength you would have to be to double them out. And I mean, like you said, math is hard, so I'm coming up short, but
yeah, so
it's big number.
Does Battle Harden stack with that? Is my question. I would think it would, but
yeah, I don't see why or how it wouldn't.
I'm not super familiar with Battle Hardened, but I thought it was just melee. Am I wrong?
That's a good point. I don't. If only we had something here to show us.
If only there was a book that listed these rules.
Yeah, I'm a fool. I set up tonight. I brought out my Legion book, brought up my Legion PDF, brought up the various supporting documents. Did not grab a copy of the core book. I was like, nah. By this point, we know the basic special rules well enough. I'm a fool.
We are full.
I am a fool.
Got it. For purposes of whether or not attacks of a strength twice this model's toughness value inflict instant death, this model's toughness is increased by X, where X is the value in brackets. It's not limited to melee, so that essentially means you have to be strength 10 to double out the toughness. So you would have to be
in shooting
strength 11 to double out a Morlock?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of that going around.
Nope. Strong. Real strong.
But that's only in shooting, because the Iron Hands rule is only in shooting.
True. It is.
True.
Right.
But I mean, it certainly means that your guys are going to get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then in melee, you're still battle hardened, so you still need strength 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Not a ton of strength 10 in melee.
No.
It's out there, but not a ton of it.
It is worth
Outside
noting.
of Dreadnought Fists.
Mm-hmm, it is worth noting these guys don't have Feel No Pain, which is something that the other two units do have. So you might might be worth throwing a
Primus Medicae.
Primus Medicae in with these guys.
If you want it.
Maybe, yeah.
Being
Certainly
an
make
HQ unit, it doesn't hurt.
Certainly doesn't. Certainly helps the battle hardened and makes them that much more.
Yeah.
That much more chunky.
Yep.
And actually, is it on here? If you really want, you can throw a cyber familiar on the augmenter, and suddenly he's got a 3-up.
Beautiful.
Bootleg Imperial Fists.
That sounds delightful.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. A lot of cool stuff going on with the Iron Hands.
Mostly cyber familiars and cyber familiar related.
Well, we do like little burbs on our models.
There's such a cool modeling opportunity,
Yeah, right? Good times.
Yeah. I guess that wraps it up for the Iron Hands. Ethan, I want to thank you for coming along with us on this little journey tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, Jason, once again, always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's see. Once again, thanks for listening to another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat podcast. If you enjoy our podcast, go over to Facebook or Instagram at RR30K Podcast. Give us a like, give us a follow. Leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast. We greatly appreciate it. And if you want to support our program, go to patreon.com/RR30K Podcast. And until next time, keep those dice rolling. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Later.
Bye, squad.
Bye.